I'm going to show you how to set up a corn snake and where to get all the products, and if you stick to the end, I'll show you how to save money doing it. Adult corn snakes can get around 4 foot or even more, so you're going to want a 4-foot enclosure. The EcoFlex terrarium is a 4-foot PVC enclosure that will do nicely for a corn snake. It's also probably the cheapest enclosure on the market, and you can get it for as little as $200. Next, let's talk substrate. Substrate is the dirt or bedding at the bottom of your corn snake's tank. You can buy pet store substrates to make it easier, but you can do it cheaper as well. Something like Reptichip is really easy. You add water and it expands and it smells really clean. Or if you want to save money, you can buy something like topsoil and then play sand from a hardware store and mix them together to make your own cheap DIY mix. You want to give them at least a good few inches of substrate at the bottom of the tank so this guy can root around and dig all he wants. Now, a top tip, what you want to do is add some leaf litter. By doing that, you're going to create a buffer zone on top of the substrate, which means it's going to stay dry on top, but also lock in that moisture down below. Thank you for demonstrating a hydric gradient. Thank you. What that means is if this guy ever feels he's a little bit too dry, he can dig down into that substrate, which has locked in that moisture down below. So it's perfect for giving these guys the choice on how to modulate their own needs. Although these guys are super active and sometimes I struggle to keep this guy at bay whilst trying to record a video, they still need to feel safe. And giving them hides is perfect at doing that. You can use lots of different types of hides, fake ones, plastic ones, or you can even use real wood. But you can just go outside and pick up branches like oak, maple, aspen, things like that are pretty safe. You want to avoid things like pine, anything that's kind of like a Christmas tree that's going to have that pine scent sappiness to it, avoid that. Then all you want to do is submerge them in a hot bath for around half an hour, and that's going to kill all the bugs that were in that wood. Now, whatever you decide, you want to make sure that you give them lots of areas to hide away and lots of areas to climb. Think of the log piles and bushes corn snakes might climb on in the wild. Get this guy a water bowl and refresh the water every day. Now the cool thing is you can add plants to their enclosure by keeping them potted. That means if they stay potted, you can pull them out when you want to do a clean at no fuss to you. And it gives them a little bit of air purifying in their enclosure. Now we have to offer these guys some light so they can bask in the sunshine. Corn snakes love to bask under heat lamps to warm up and go about their day. So of course what we're going to do is offer them a heat lamp. Some really good ones are the Zoomed Repti Basking Bulb and Exoterra's Intense Basking Bulb. A 50 to 75 watt should do. That can go inside a cheap clamp lamp like the Fluker's one for $16 on Amazon. You want to measure how hot things like branches get under those lamps, so get yourself a temperature gun. These can be as cheap as $8. If the surface temperature of those branches is anywhere from like 80 to 90, that's bang on for these guys. They'll sit on that and get nice and toasty and warm. UVB light is fantastic for corn snakes. Instead of warming up underneath it like a heat lamp, think of it as like a health lamp. It boosts their immune system, their mood, it reduces stress, and it just feels good. You can get them online for around $65. If you want to add some brightness to their enclosures, you can get things like LED spotlights. These really make the colours of your corn snake pop, and it plays a massive role in their hormonal cycle. And it is great for plants. Sansi bulbs on Amazon are so bright for what they cost. You can screw that into a clamp lamp like the heat bulb. Now, all of your lights you've got there, you want to position them off to one side. So you have that little patch of sunshine over here and then shade over here. This means if this guy wants to go bask and sunbathe in the sun, he can. But if he wants to go cool off and go sit in the shade, he can also do that as well. You can have these lights on during the day, so it's daytime, and then off at nighttime. Anywhere from 12 hours on to 12 hours off is absolutely fine. You can pick up cheap wall timers to make this automatic. Next, we want to measure the air temperatures of our corn snake's enclosure. To do that, we want to get a digital thermometer to read the temperature. Place one in the shade midway up so the probe isn't touching anything and it's dangling in the air in the shade, and that'll be a true reflection of the air temperature in the tank. If that's anywhere from 70 to 80 during the day, that's absolutely fine. You're probably likely to achieve that anyway as a byproduct from the lighting. At night time, the temperature can go down to like 59 without even needing to worry. If you're consistently dropping beneath that, these guys might think, oh, it's hibernation time. When I intentionally hibernate these guys, I'll let them go down to like 47, 50-ish during the winter. If your house truly does get that cold, you can use things like ceramic heat emitters or deep heat projectors or heat mats at night, things that don't give off light. But for the most part, most of you, including me, won't even be needing that. In terms of humidity, these guys have such a wide range down the eastern side of the US that they can take a wide array of climatic conditions. So your humidity really, as long as the enclosure is dry and then offers them some areas of microclimates, some moist areas to dig down to or a hide, then you're pretty much set. I'll be honest, I don't really even measure humidity, but around 50% baseline, and if it fluctuates during the day, fine. Give them a humid hide, and you're good to go. What I will say is if you're using something like aspen shavings as your substrate where it is bone dry and there is no humidity or moisture down beneath, then you want to give them a humid hide stuffed with moss so they can actually get there, especially when it's time to shed. That is really, really beneficial to them. And then after that, you're going to want some accessories like feeding tongs, disinfectant, first aid spray, all of which can be found on Amazon. That brings your shopping list to somewhere between 388 to 484, depending on your preference. Do not cheap out on these guys' lighting. There's a lot of dodgy, cheap Chinese lamps on the market that actually would damage your corn snake. I have actually curated this list so I know what is safe, whilst also trying to save you money. So stick to this list. You can find a curated shopping list down in the video description. There are plenty more corn snake videos coming, so subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.